to gauge that is to just wait until the forsythia bloom or just before they bloom, and that's when you apply it. And you have to get crabgrass killer on before the crabgrass germinates, because once it's germinated, the crabgrass killer is inactive because it only kills seeds as it's germinating and not once they're germinated. So about the time the forsythia bloom, and then if you're putting it on for killing the broadleaf weeds like dandelions and creeping Charlie and stuff like that, I would wait until that starts to grow, and then I would put it on separately. I would use Fertilome's or Bonide's Ultra, Weed Beater Ultra. That's a very effective broadleaf weed killer, and it works actually at lower temperatures, so they don't have to be real actively growing, but I like to see them green up a little bit before you kill them.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. I wanted to talk a little bit about the weed beater. You and I had talked last fall, and I had some creeping Charlies growing in the front of the house right underneath. I've got some pine bushes there, and they were growing under there, and he was starting to creep, and you had recommended the weed beater. And it looks pretty good. I put it on right before it got cold out last fall, and that combination of the weed beater and that cold winter really did the trick, and it's looking pretty good. It looks like the creeping Charlies are gone. We'll probably know for sure here coming up in the coming weeks as it warms up, but it looks good, and it also, I don't know if this was more to say about the product or my carefulness applying it, but it did not kill my pine bushes. I was so worried about that. But
no, I don't think. The Weed Beater Ultra is pretty safe herbicide around shrubs. It only takes care of perennial weeds, which means you don't want to be spraying it in your perennial bed because it would take out perennials too. But for creeping Charlie, although you can kill it in spring, it takes multiple applications.
Sure.
And but the best way to do creeping Charlie is in the fall. You hit it in probably mid-October, early to mid-October, before it gets really cold, but so that the plant takes it in, and then the winter also helps take it out. So it works really, really good. Another thing that people could be doing at this time of the year, if you've got raspberries, if they're ever-bearing raspberries, if you had a crop last fall, probably just cut all the canes out. If it's a summer-bearing variety like Latham or some of the others, what you want to do right now is get in and the canes that are branched and had the nubbins on it that had the fruit last fall or last summer, those are the canes that you want to prune out because they're probably dead. You maybe could even break them off there. They should be pretty brittle because they're gone. But the canes that are really straight right now and green, those are going to be the canes that blossom and fruit this summer, and then they die. And so the life cycle is that they come up the first year as it's called a primal cane, but it's a vegetative cane. It's just straight as an arrow. If it's an ever-bearing variety, they blossom and fruit in the fall of the first year. If it's a summer-bearing variety, they stay dormant through the winter, through the fall and winter, and then the next summer they put out their fruit. So, and then they die. But while they're fruiting, these new canes are coming up so that you get a crop every year. So, by doing that, you'll have a much better results. The plants will grow better. And then another thing you can do with raspberries right now is to fertilize them because they're just starting to grow and they get off to a good start. They'll do really, really well. So just get a good garden fertilizer. It should say garden fertilizer on it, and then just spread some in between, in the row, and they'll grow much faster. As far as strawberries are concerned, it's almost time to take the mulch off. In some cases, I like to leave the mulch on a little bit longer than you should because that helps delay the strawberries so that they don't start growing and the flowers start coming out, and then they get nipped by the frost. So I would say in another week or so, that's when you can start removing the strawberry, the mulch that you put on your strawberries, if you put some on them. And then as soon as you take the mulch off, the same thing goes with the strawberries. Just get a good garden fertilizer and put some fertilizer on the strawberries, and that will get the plants growing well, and you'll get a really nice crop this summer.
If you've got a question for the Garden Doctor, we welcome your phone calls. The phone number is 920-885-4446. Dick Zondag is here until about 11 o'clock here this morning. Maybe you're looking around the yard and thinking about how you're going to care for some of the existing plants, or maybe you're planning on doing some new planting this spring. You've got some questions, feel free to give us a call, 920-885-4446. We'll head back to the phones and say good morning. You are on with the Garden Doctor.
Good morning. I've got a bit of a problem. I don't have a sidewalk. I live kind of in the country.
Okay.
And by the steps of the porch, for the last 2 years, my son has put a mixture of salt down in the ground over the ice and the snow.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's nothing but mud, and the grass isn't going to grow because it had so much salt on it.
Yeah. Well, salt and grass don't mix very well.
Okay.
What I would do is probably you somehow have to leach that salt out of the soil, because grass won't grow with a lot of salt in there. So water it generously for probably 3 or 4 weeks before you even try to put grass seed down. I guess the other thing I would suggest is using sand rather than salt, because sand will give you the grit, but if you have to have salt there, maybe what you want to do is put a landscape fabric down and put some kind of stone or pea gravel or something in that area, because if you continually put a lot of salt into the soil, that will keep the grass from growing in that area.
Yeah, I didn't even realize the first year that he was putting all this salt down, because I had mixed it with the old-fashioned kitty litter, and
Sure.
I thought that the litter was going to, stick into so that I could walk on it.
Yep.
But it's very slippery, so that's why he put the salt down.
Yep, and he's looking out for your safety too, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't be too harsh on him.
Oh, no, I'm not going to be. What about patio blocks? Could I put patio blocks?
That would work too.
Down?
Some kind of pavers. Yeah, that would work too. They're readily available, and you just they're pretty easy to install. You just dig the dirt out and put a sand base in and get it good and solid, make it level, and then you just put the pavers in, and that would work also.
Okay, I'll see if I can get him to do that. And the other thing is about the raspberry bushes.
Okay.
I was given some raspberry bushes a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And the first year I had raspberries. They weren't very big. They were little bushes. And last year they grew and grew and grew, even though we trimmed them back. They grew to be about 5 feet tall.
Okay.
But they didn't have any berries on them.
That's probably because it's a summer-bearing variety, and those were the canes that will produce fruit this summer.
Okay, well, what happened over the winter, I noticed that they were getting littler and littler and littler, and we go out there, and sure enough, they had been chewed down by the rabbits and the deer.
Okay.
So they're only about a foot high now. You can see right where they chewed on.
Sure.
Are they going to be the ones that we need to get out of there, or will they grow back?
Those will not grow back. You may get a little bit of fruit near the ground, because those canes will have the flower buds on them, but you have to have the canes that grew last summer to get fruit this summer. And so
if the deer and the rabbits chewed them all down, it was really weird.
Yeah. Well, you can get repellents that you can spray on in the fall after the danger of rain is gone. And those repellents there's a fungicide in it. Some of them have garlic and dried blood and things like that repel the deer and the rabbits. And so you may have to use a deer repellent probably in early to mid-November, and spray the canes with it so that when they start chewing on them, they get a very bitter taste in their mouth. That's the only thing that I know of for keeping deer away.
Well, I really don't want to keep them away. My cats like to sit in the window and watch the rabbits and the deer. I just wondered if they probably have ruined my bed out there. So
well, the canes that come out from the root system will come out again. So they didn't kill the bed; they just took the fruiting wood away.
Yeah. Well, we can tell after we get rid of the snow and the leaves that are on top of everything. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for calling.
And our phone number here on the program is 920-885-4446. If you've got a question for the garden doctor, we'll go to our other line and say, good morning, you are on with Dick Zondag.
Yes, good morning. I was wondering, we want to plant a red maple tree this year.
Okay.
And is there different kinds, or some are better than others? Or...
Okay, you want the one that has red leaves all summer long?
Yeah.
The one that gets red in the fall?
Well, the one that has all summer.
Okay, that one is called Royal Red.
Okay.
And it's really the best of the Royal Red of the red maples. It's medium slow in growth because the red color is not as efficient as fixing sunlight into energy, and so it really doesn't grow like an autumn blaze would. An autumn blaze is the maple that has very fast growth, but it's green, and then it gets red fall color. So the one you're looking for is called Royal Red.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thanks for calling.
920-885-4446, the phone number to get in with the garden doctor. Back to the phones. Good morning. You are on with Dick Zondag.
Since we're talking about raspberries, when is the best time to transplant them? Just the summer fruited ones.
Okay, the best time to transplant them is probably in 2 or 3 weeks when the frost is gone and the soil has dried out.
Okay.
And then just take as much of the soil as you can with it, and then you just transplant them.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks for the call this morning. 920-885-4446, the phone number to get in on the program here this morning. Dick Zondag, the garden doctor, is here for about another 10 minutes or so. And if you're trying to give us a call, keep calling us. We do have an open phone line right now at 885-4446. We'll head back to the other line and say, good morning, you are on with the garden doctor.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Hi, I have a question. I have some alien Globemasters that I had planted probably 3 years ago.
Okay.
Underneath my dappled willow.
Okay.
Well, the willow is getting very large, so now the Globemasters are coming up and actually getting into the branches of the willow. I was wondering, is it too late to transplant those? Should I have done that in the fall?
Yeah, you do it in the fall, or you can also do it once the leaves disappear. They usually come up in the springtime, and they have leaves on them probably until early or mid-July. So anytime after the leaves wither and go away, that's the best time to do it. And you can divide them up. Globemaster allium it's in the onion family, and they have those beautiful globe-shaped purple blooms in the springtime, or in the late spring, I guess. But I think you're too late. I would wait until after they're through this blooming season, and then mark where they are so that you can dig them up, like I said, mid to late July. Anytime after that would be fine.
Yeah, that sounds good. I meant to do that last fall, but I had forgotten. So I was wondering if I could do it really quick. They are appearing through the ground right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, you may or may not be able to. I mean, they have a chance of being transplanted, but you'd have a lot better chance if you wait until they're through their growth cycle this year.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thanks for calling.
920-885-4446, the phone number to get in on the program. Good morning. You are on with the garden doctor.
Good morning. I have 2 questions about shrubs.
Okay.
I have lilac bushes, and I know if I trim them now, I won't have any bloom. So is it right after they're done blooming? Should I cut them because they're getting way out of control? I got to cut them way back.
Yeah, that's when I would do it. Even if you're cutting most of the foliage off, that's the time to do it. Or are they really large?
Oh, some of them are, yes.
Okay. What you could do, too, is if they're really, really large and the stems are pretty big, you could get in there and cut maybe a third of those big stems off near the ground.
Okay.
And then next spring, you do that again. What you'll find is that those, where the stumps are, they'll start generating new shoots, and then you take the rest of them off next year, and you'll have a new shrub. But I would, if you want to take a couple of those, if they've got like 5 or 6 big stems near the ground, take a couple of them out. You could do that right now. You'll still have a pretty nice display for the spring. And then next spring, take the rest of them off as soon as the flowers are done.
Okay, now my second question is, I have one of those strawberry hydrangeas.
Okay.
And it bloomed for the first time last year, but it's got a really awkward shape to it.
Okay.
What can I do? I mean, I wanted to bloom again this year, but I wanted to get more of a bushy shape than kind of sprawling all over.
I guess what I would do is take some of them off. Try to do a little bit of pruning right now, but not severe pruning.
Okay.
And try to get them in shape. I can't remember. If it's a paniculata, they're going to bloom on new wood, and I don't remember whether it's a strawberry vanilla you have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
I can't remember whether that's one that's. Some of the hydrangeas have the flower buds on them already, and some of them they have the flower buds come out on the new wood. And you can look at the tips of the branches, and if they've got a nice big fat bud there, that means that they're going to be blooming, and you probably shouldn't do much pruning now. If they have just regular size buds on them, you could start pruning it to get it into shape right now.
Okay, should I be fertilizing my asparagus? This is the third year I have my asparagus now, so I'm looking for a big crop. So should I be fertilizing the asparagus now?
Yeah, it's fertilizer, and you can use almost any kind of fertilizer on asparagus because they will handle the high nitrogen fertilizer. So, but garden fertilizer is great for them too.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yep, thanks for calling.
Again, our phone number, if you want to speak with the garden doctor this morning, is 920-885-4446. And we go to our other line and say, good morning, you are on with the garden doctor.
Yeah, I have a Fern Peony, and I was wondering when's the best time to take the mulch off of it, or I have pine needles on it now.
What kind of peony do you have?
A Fern Peony.
Oh, Fern Peony. I would... Yeah, you don't want that growing underneath that mulch, so I would say probably in a week or so, that you move the mulch back and you can fertilize it, and you'll have a beautiful Fern Peony this spring. But you'll be able to see when the growing point starts coming through the ground. The mulch should be gone by then.
Okay, and if I want to take and split that, is it best to do that in the spring or the fall?
In the fall. Definitely in the fall.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks for calling.
920-885-4446, the phone number to get in on the program. We've got a few minutes left. We'll head to the other line and say good morning. You are on with the garden doctor.
Thank you. Is it okay to put muric acid on the shrubs now?
Sure. Yeah, muric acid is a fertilizer that's mainly meant for evergreens and acid-loving plants, but the other plants need those micronutrients too. So yeah, you can fertilize them right now, and when they start to grow, it'll be there for them to use.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yep, thanks for calling.
And it looks like we've got time for one last phone call here. We'll bring in this final caller. Say good morning. You're on with the garden doctor.
Good morning. When you're on, we know spring is in the air.
Thank you. Yeah, let's hope.
Over the winter, I noticed that I had this white, powdery stuff on my succulents, and so I sprayed it with fungicide. Was that the right thing to use?
Are they outside or inside?
Inside.
Okay, if there is a bug that looks like a fungus.
Yeah, it's all white and powdery or fuzzy looking?
No, it's not powdery. It forms little clumps of cottony.
Yes.
That's called mealybug.
Oh, okay.
And you can get some insecticides that'll take care of mealybug, or what you can do is take them outside during the summer and spray them with just a regular garden a garden spray, something that has malathion in it, and that will take care of mealybugs. But you got to be careful because they're very easy to get to spread onto your other plants too, because they're not too picky about what things they eat. So
yeah, because I had to throw quite a few out. Actually.
Yeah.
And they were outside in the summer.
Okay.
That's where they usually are. Then I bring them back in again.
Well, there is a systemic insecticide that you can put in the soil that will take that the plant will take up the insecticide into the plant sap. That would work too. So either way, that would take care of that particular situation.
What kind of insecticide is it?
It's called systemic insecticide.
Okay. And you have that there too?
It's in our garden center, yes.
Okay. All right, well, thank you.
Yep, thanks for calling.
All right, well, that's about all the time we've got for phone calls today, but if you weren't able to get in today, Dick, you'll be here every Wednesday, 10:30 a.m. here on WBEV now through, about early May or so?
Yeah, I think it's sometime in that area.
Yeah, early to mid-May, I think. You're here every Wednesday morning, 10:30 a.m., and of course, over at Jung's Garden Center, they are all set and ready for spring. They've got all your seeds and bulbs, and they've got a nice selection of pesticides and herbicides, and they've got all your gardening tools and pretty much anything you can think of related to gardening, they can help you out. And Dick's not the only knowledgeable one at Jung's Garden Center, by the way.
Sure.
His staff is extremely helpful, so if you have questions, they can help you as well. Dick, we'll see you next Wednesday morning.
Very good, and our store hours are 8 to 6 Monday through Friday and 8 to 5 on Saturday.
Perfect. Another episode of The Garden Doctor coming up next Wednesday, 10:30 a.m. The preceding program was a paid presentation of Jung's Garden Center.